Now, into the ticket office of Disneyland.
Oh boy, let's do this.
Don't think the CIA is going to be trying to hack your second-gen iPod.
I didn't think so. There might have been a lot of illegal music on there. I would doubt it. But, I mean,
Because that would be stupid.
iTunes is a constant source of embarrassment.
I approve this message.
I really, 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 really don't see Apple ever doing that. I am Nadella.
I can't do it anymore without laughing. I was going to do the whole thing. Welcome, everyone, to the Calling All Platforms podcast. Our episode today is Apple.
Basically.
Basically. But we'll have a little bit of other things just to fill in before we get to Apple. A little bit of a change today. We're going to get through the gaming and everything else first before we get into the Apple conference. Fair enough, because I'm sure that that's probably mostly what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, anyway, we do have Caleb back.
Yay.
He got unfired.
Yay.
Anyway, I'm the host. I'm Wes, and we're here with Landon and Caleb.
Yes, we're both here.
Yay.
Change it up
Mostly
a little
what
bit.
happened is they couldn't find anybody else on short notice that was willing to listen to an entire keynote that was hosted by Tim Cook. So,
Well, you know, there's a surprising amount of people that actually do pay attention to those keynotes.
well,
Despite the fact that Tim Cook is really bad at giving a keynote.
the fact. And it wasn't, and it's, this is Phil Schiller's keynote, which is always a little disappointing. Like, WWDC is exciting because it's Craig's keynote.
Yes.
That's Craig Federighi. He's in charge of that one. This is Phil's keynote, and it's just like, oh, Phil, just stop.
So you have two people between Tim and Phil that are really, really bad at presenting anything
Yeah.
up on the stage pretty much the whole time.
They could throw out Steve Ballmer on there, too.
You know, I would much rather watch Steve
Have
Ballmer.
him run out there and sweat to death.
I would much rather
Yes.
watch Steve Ballmer any day.
That would be great fun.
We should get that in writing and send it to him. I would rather watch Steve Ballmer any day. Anyway.
Moving on.
Landon's like, that's just weird. Speaking of not weird, Nintendo is to launch the Switch online services next week.
Yeah.
Hey.
Pretty cool, huh? That's,
Sure, you're
that's
looking
September
forward to
18th. Well, at first, I was like, I don't play the Switch very much. And if I were to get the online services, there's one big thing that I think I would get is all the old Nintendo games that
Yeah.
comes with this service.
Yeah.
So, well, let's go ahead and let's go through this. So, the key benefits of this is obviously online play. Just like Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus, you get Nintendo Switch online gamers can compete and or cooperate with each other on online compatible games. The next thing is NES games. Nintendo will have 20 classic NES games available at launch, and they will include new online gameplay features. Some key launch titles include Super Mario Bros., Super Mario Bros. 3, Donkey Kong, Tennis, and The Legend of Zelda.
Very nice.
Pretty big games, I feel. And that Mario 3, man, that's tempting.
Yeah.
They also get cloud backup of game saves.
Nice.
So I thought that was pretty cool. Let's see.
That would have been really useful on the Wii.
Yeah. Yes, it would have. Yes, it would have. Because that Wii, all you had was just the
On storage.
the on storage.
Yeah.
That was it.
And if you ever reset or got a new Wii, you had to start over.
Yes.
Oh, man.
I knew lots of people in that scenario, and they were so pissed.
That is actually pretty. Yeah. I never had the Wii. I never jumped into that. My last
You were
actual.
the one person that didn't buy a Wii.
I was. You know what? False. I bought a Wii,
Oh,
but it was a Christmas gift for someone else.
Oh.
So, but I never owned one.
gotcha.
So the last Nintendo device before the Switch that I have now was actually an N64. That was the last Nintendo device I actually owned. Like
Wow.
per generation. I'm going to be honest. I still have my regular NES and my Super Nintendo. I
well,
still
yeah.
have those.
Yeah, for sure.
But I guess going through console generation, that's the generation that I last bought of Nintendo.
You know, that's actually hilarious because I'm pretty sure the only Nintendo thing I've ever owned was a Wii.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you would have had an NES.
No.
Wow.
No. I did not have game consoles in my house when I was a kid. That's why I'm a PC gamer now.
Gotcha.
We had computers. We did not have consoles. That was just how it was.
PC Master Race.
Yeah, it was kind of more like my parents were too cheap to buy two devices, and they actually could use the PC for like work-related stuff, and so they bought one. They bought those, because they could use them, and then they just also happened to run games, which was good for me.
Awesome. Games. Well, yeah. So I am excited for this. Let's go through how much it costs. So the online service will actually cost $4 a month, or you can save a little bit by doing the three months for $8, or 1 year for $20.
May as well just pay $20 a year. That's a dang good deal.
Yeah, seriously, that's a great deal.
Or the best one, I think, honestly, is you can also do a family membership for $35 per year that supports 7 people.
Whoa.
There you go.
7 people for $35 a year.
Dang.
Okay, that wins.
Like, I sat there and I'm like, okay, any Switch friends want to try this out? Like,
yeah, like seriously.
Like, because honestly, I would probably only play the old games. To be like, we have Mario Kart. I did get that for the kids, but I don't know. I think those old NES games, there has been times I'm like hankering to be like, man, I'd love to play old school Castlevania or something. Just an old good platformer for a minute, but I have my computer that has all the ROMs. But this would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
But, so yeah. Next thing. The next thing I want to say is I think they call the term hell froze over. Pigs have flown, etc. You can now get Final Fantasy games on the Xbox.
What?
I think it froze. Okay, this was announced by Phil Spencer last night. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm going to go through the list of Final Fantasies, okay?
Is he trapped in a hurricane and thinks he's going to die, so he's just making random announcements?
Maybe. Like, this is something I've always wanted to do, die. So the first one...
Good luck with that.
Yeah, well, the first one is Final Fantasy 15. It's the Pocket Edition, if that's what you want. I guess the Pocket Edition's the same as the regular game, but it's just for mobile, but now it's on the Xbox.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy 15 Pocket Edition is that's the smartphone version that is the entire game, but the graphics engine is completely different.
Yeah, it's like, So, but yeah, I guess you can get that now. It's available now. Huh. The next one is called World of Final Fantasy Maxima. I've never heard of that, but it's another one. But that comes on November 6th, 2018.
I think that one's the MMO, isn't it?
Let me see.
Because there's a Final Fantasy MMO, and I think that one might be it. I could be wrong.
No, this one actually mixes all the Final Fantasies, like the characters together.
Yeah. I think that's what the MMO is.
I think they actually just fight each other. You know what? Embark on a magical journey with siblings Rayanne and Lan as they explore the vast lands of Grimoire to rediscover their past and save the future.
I have
no idea. So the next...
go ahead. Let me put it to you this way. If it's not Final Fantasy VII, I really don't know that much about it.
That's true. Speaking of Final Fantasy VII, Final Fantasy VII is the next one that's coming.
Holy crap.
To Xbox.
Holy crap.
I'm going to re-say that again. I don't think I ever thought I would say this in my life. Final Fantasy VII, the thing that made Sony PlayStation a thing, is coming to Xbox.
Well, can we get it on PC next?
It's on Steam.
Okay. I've been playing the ROM for years.
It's on Steam.
Years, so I guess I don't... Is it on Steam?
I own it. Oh. I know that because it's on Steam.
Oh, go figure.
Guess I'm owning it on another place.
It's just the ROM for the original game wrapped in a PlayStation emulator, isn't it? On Steam?
No, it's the remake. The HD...
They haven't done an HD remaster of 7.
It's a remaster. It is. It's a remaster of 7. On Steam.
What? They haven't released a remaster of 7 on the PlayStation, but they've released one on Steam?
This is correct.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, we are talking about Final Fantasy
We're
on
on
Xbox,
Xbox.
so
What the heck, Square Enix? Like, oh my god!
I just made his night. Guess what else he's buying?
yeah, no kidding.
I actually don't really even like Final Fantasy VII. I've never beaten the game, and
No,
I
but
think
you understand.
it's too long. But it's just weird that is the way that
Worked out.
What? I'm confused
Yes.
beyond all reason right now.
Yes.
As you should be.
So that will
Yeah.
be released in 2019. They didn't give a specific date, but that's coming. I'm going to assume, now this is just me, that because I know that there's a Final Fantasy VII actual full remake, like they're remaking the game from the ground up. Maybe it's to spark interest in that. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
The next one is Final Fantasy IX. That one's coming in 2019. And Final Fantasy X and X-2 remastered. That one is coming as well. And then the next one is the Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, and I think this is the first MMO.
Oh, okay.
I think this one's the
Okay.
first MMO because they have two right now.
Do they?
Yeah.
Good grief.
But
Whoever did the Western translation for the original Final Fantasy game and decided to call it Final Fantasy really screwed up. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
'Cause-
you don't know the story of that. The guy was going bankrupt. He's like, well, this is my final game if everything goes through. So that's why he called it. He's like, this is my Final Fantasy game. And then all of a sudden it blew up and everyone wanted another one. He's like, Final Fantasy 2? So that's the story on that. But yeah,
Oh,
so
man.
Final Fantasy coming to Xbox. That makes me feel weird because I never thought I'd say that ever.
Oh yeah, no, this is a pigs flying situation for sure.
Yeah. And that came from Phil Spencer. So I think that's a reputable source.
I would think so.
Just say it. But
You'd hope he'd know.
yeah.
Maybe somebody
seriously.
got a hold of his Twitter account and be like, here, this will be fun.
This will be fun.
Oh man.
So next thing I thought was kind of cool. In celebration of the new Forza, the Forza 4, it'll be out in October, Xbox came out with a new deal that if you buy Xbox Game Pass for 1 year for $99, you also get Forza 3, Forza 7, and obviously Forza, the new one, is coming with the Xbox Game Pass. You get all that for a whole year of Xbox Game Pass for $99.
Nice.
Wow.
When normally Xbox Game Pass is $10 a month.
So,
Does Forza 3 come with the Hot Wheels expansion?
Let me look. I don't think so. I think it's just the main.
Ah,
7 I think it's just the main one.
see, totally not worth it then.
Totally not. You know what? You have a point. That was the only. So I'm not into these racing games, but that was one that I was like, Hot Wheels edition.
Oh yeah.
I might just be spending
need that.
$70 on a game that shows Hot Wheels. Because you have to buy the game and then the DLC.
well, it's understandable.
So,
I
but
would probably do
normally,
the same thing.
yeah, normally the Game Pass would have been $120, but
So,
$20 off. Plus, you get the most latest two Forzas
Yeah.
for Motorsport and Horizon included with that because those are not on Xbox Game Pass,
Yeah.
but you'll get those. And
I think it's fair to say that like for anyone who's wondering, Forza Horizon is the arcade version of Forza. So Forza 7 this is a serious racing simulation.
yes,
Forza Horizon is this is the one where you can jump your car off of a 300-foot jump and fly through a waterfall and then land it and you're okay. Like,
and you keep going.
It's the arcade game version.
you can't do that in real life?
It was pretty cool. The last Forza, you actually, if you had Halo 5, they gave you a Warthog to drive around in Forza, which guess what I have.
Hey, obviously.
Yeah, so that's probably the only car I'd be driving around in that thing.
So yeah, the fact that it's coming with 2 Horizon games and just 1 actual main series Forza game, like, those are the games that are good for most people.
Yes.
Like the Forza 7 is like it's an impressive piece of technology, but for the vast majority of players, it's just not that fun.
No, it's not.
It's like Microsoft Flight Simulator for the road. It's
For the
not
road.
not actually an enjoyable game.
That's probably the best analogy I've ever heard.
I say that coming from the perspective of the guy who has played a whole bunch of the Gran Turismo games, but not the arcade versions of the Gran Turismo games, the actual main series entry where it's just brutal. Like when you get good and you're like driving that thing around like an actual car, you feel like it's awesome. But if you're not good, it takes a lot of effort to get good, and it sucks the whole time while you're doing it. Anyways, just clear that up for the listeners.
Yeah.
Forza Horizon is awesome. Forza 7 is, free. So,
it's free
not that
if
hard
you
to complain about it in this particular case.
Well, and those games actually are still pretty close to full price anyway, because those are the latest games. And so you're basically, in a sense, you're buying the games and getting a free year of Xbox Game Passes, if you want to look at it that way, which then the next game comes with it. So, and what's really cool with the next one that I find kind of interesting is they actually are, like, when you sign in and you go into the next one, it's actually a full-on kind of like MMO. It's a server. So that thing's always going. Mm-hmm. And so there's people from all over just driving. Yep. So whenever you do stuff, there's people. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah. And when you're competing in a race against other people, you're competing against humans. There's no bots. There's no bots in that world.
Yeah.
And so, it should be interesting to see how that works out for them, because for a game like Horizon, that is a great concept. Like the main series Forza games, they're way too serious for something like that to really work very well. But Horizon, I think that could be pretty cool. So
be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much all the news and stuff I wanted to talk about with that. I do know that Caleb probably wants to talk about some Tomb Raider, because I do too, because I'm playing it as well.
just all the time, just Tomb Raider all the time. I don't want to talk about Tomb Raider. It is just really funny to me that, like, just a couple of years ago, I had only ever played like maybe 30 minutes of any Tomb Raider game ever, and I was not impressed with those 30 minutes. I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
But to be fair, that was like Tomb Raider 2.
From
it was
PlayStation remake.
Ones. Yeah, and it was like, the controls were fiddly and stupid, and it felt dated and archaic, and I just didn't enjoy it. And then I got the 2013 Tomb Raider, and
fell in love.
They got me. I spent $90 on a video game for the first time in my life, like 2 days ago. Just because I wanted
to play it 2 days early.
Play early. Yeah. Yep. I wanted to play the game 2 days early, and I did. And I've thoroughly been enjoying myself, and our dear listeners and anyone who's following us on Facebook in particular, you will be definitely seeing YouTube videos of that coming your way shortly.
I think one of the big things that I really, really enjoy about this game series is there's no political agenda, I feel, with it. Like, I can go in and just enjoy it. Like, for example, there's no, like, because she's a girl, she has to prove something. Or something silly like that, or anything. It's like, no, I can just go and be on an adventure with Lara Croft. Sick.
Yeah. I actually really appreciate the way they do that, because what they've done is they've taken a really well fleshed out, very intricately developed character that is a woman, and then they put her into all of these crazy situations that are traditionally in popular culture held down by guys, and they don't draw attention to it. They just let it sit. And, the lesson, the message, if you want to get one out of that, is that it doesn't matter that she's a woman.
Exactly.
She can still do this stuff. It doesn't make a difference. It doesn't change her ability at all. And that's a great message, like, gender does not define ability. And, like, cool. But they don't force it.
No.
They don't, like, and they just kind of let it slide. And that's the best way to communicate messages like that, I think. And I think that was a very smart move, and I really like the character of Lara Croft is fantastic, and I really enjoy the way that the games are written, and I really enjoy the stories. I think they're lots of fun, and the gameplay is super fantastic, and anybody, like, really, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is not revolutionary.
No.
It isn't. It is basically Rise of the Tomb Raider continued with new graphics and a couple of new mechanics and, a new setting and a new conflict. And cool. That's exactly what I wanted, as long as the writing and the character continues to progress and and move forward over time, then I'm done. That's all I need. So far, about 3 hours in, so far so good.
Good. I think I'm about the same. Although I'm probably about 4 or 5, but that's because I'm a completionist. And if there's any kind of barrel or something I've got to click on, I got to click it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, there's a good chance that you are like 2 more hours into it than I am.
There's
but
no way I'm that far ahead.
We're about the same distance into the story.
Probably.
Because I have definitely passed up a few things.
Yeah,
And, oh my gosh, I spent like literally 30 minutes trying to figure out how to craft arrows. Like,
really?
It was the dumbest thing ever. So in Rise of the Tomb Raider on the PC, you craft arrows when you hold down the left mouse button to aim with the bow, and then you hold down the right mouse button. And if you don't have any arrows in your quiver, you'll craft arrows at that point.
Okay.
And so that's what I was trying to do in Shadow of the Tomb Raider, but that's not how you do it in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. You can't hold down the left mouse button. You have to release the left mouse button, and then with nothing else held down, hold down the right mouse button in order to craft arrows. And it took me almost 30 minutes to figure that out. I was just running through the jungle like, why can't I craft any arrows? And then I run into the second jaguar encounter, and I'm like, I can't kill this thing because I don't have any arrows. What the heck am I supposed to do here? Yeah, I eventually stumbled across it, and I'm just sitting there like, boy, do I feel stupid. Anyways.
Well, I'm thankful all the key mapping on a controller is the same. That was very nice, actually, because that was the one thing I really enjoyed also is that some of those skills she retained. Like at the very beginning, so like the whole throwing the grapple, the
rope grapple thing.
Like that was nice. The crafting of the arrows, the crafting of the fire arrows, like everything. It's just sweet. We can just continue the story. So that was really nice.
Yep, they really did keep pretty much everything exactly the same. And if you enjoyed Rise of the Tomb Raider, you enjoyed the 2013 reboot. You're gonna enjoy Shadow of the Tomb Raider's gameplay. It's very familiar. It feels really good. And yeah, there was a few little tweaks which bit me. And the other little tweak is the whole being able to rappel from the climbing surfaces and stuff like that. And I totally just the first time that came up, it's all like, hold down this button to rappel. And I hit C, which is to release your hold on the wall. And I just fell to my death, because like you do.
Dude.
Anyways, but it's a great game. I'm really enjoying it.
Those deaths are brutal.
In the process. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, I still haven't come across anything in Shadow of the Tomb Raider or even in Rise of the Tomb Raider that was as bad as the one in the 2013 reboot. After you fall out of the plane and you're sliding down the river, or no, you're sliding down the river before you fall into the plane and then fall out of the plane with the parachute.
Yes.
That whole sequence that they recreate almost exactly in the movie. Like when you're sliding down the river and you have to dodge back and forth between the piles of rubble and stuff like that. And if you hit one of the piles of rubble, the pole that goes right through the bottom of her head.
Yep.
That one is still the most gruesome from that franchise, I think.
Probably because she was still moving and feeling the pole in her head.
Oh, I know. Just like, and you're just like, oh, that is terrifying.
Yeah.
Most stressful game of Temple Run I have ever played.
You have a point. Yeah, that's very stressful.
That was basically exactly what that was. And that was actually, so there's, right at the beginning of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, there's another one of those sequences.
Yes.
So it's just like, this is the most stressful game of Temple Run I have ever played.
Yes.
Yeah. I did manage not to die, though. Actually, I was quite proud of myself.
Good job. I did, which one? There was quite a few.
During the tsunami.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, right at the beginning.
Yep.
Or a little ways in, but yeah.
I could definitely tell they went for more emotional for this one, though.
Yes.
You're like, oh, that just happened. I feel bad about myself.
Yep. I actually really appreciate, because in the first two, the first one especially, and also in Rise of the Tomb Raider to an extent, they kind of play off of Lara's emotions and her hesitation and her humanity versus her need to survive and kind of the dilemmas that puts her into. And that is all gone in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. She does not have moral dilemmas anymore. She has a pickaxe and a bow and arrow, and she's going to kill everyone in the Amazon. That's basically how she's rolling.
Yep.
And I really appreciate that, they have given her that confidence. They've let her character progress to that point instead of like artificially holding her back. They've let her learn and let her, she has killed hundreds of people at this point, just personally on my playthroughs of the first two games. She has killed hundreds of people. So, she's definitely not a stranger to murder anymore. And they let her progress to the level of confidence and self-assurance that you would naturally get to if you were as good at killing people as Lara Croft is.
Right.
And then that self-confidence and that self-assurance actually turns around and bites her in the butt twice within the first hour of the game.
Yes.
It's awesome. Like, this is just, it's really well-handled storytelling. I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Me as well. Definitely.
I'm not.
So,
Landon's not.
Landon, you don't even have a computer that'll run the first game, do you?
My laptop might be able to handle it. Maybe.
It might.
Unless there's
If I delete everything off of it.
It came out in 2013. When was your laptop released? Is it about that time?
Yeah. It's probably newer than, it's around that time. It's that time or newer. So it should be fine.
Should be all right.
Low
setting.
I mean, I can run Adobe Audition and Premiere and Illustrator and all that crap pretty much at the same time, so I think I'd be okay.
Yeah, not bad.
It would be the graphics. Because, like, if yours has a discrete graphics chip in it, then, yeah, you're probably good. If it doesn't, then there's a chance the integrated graphics on the processor would be able to handle it, but it's kind of hit and miss. You never know. Anyways,
Yeah.
I feel sorry for you because you're missing out on all of the awesomeness. Though there is a movie of the first game, you could just go watch that.
And that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, they do a really good job kind of portraying the sense of what that game was.
I've never even seen any of the movies.
Just pretend those ones didn't happen and just see the newest one.
Okay.
Yeah, just watch the new one.
Yeah. Then you'll be caught up. Awesome. Well, cool. All right, I'm going to pass the torch over to Landon because he's probably got some other news other than gaming.
I do have news other than gaming or Apple.
Good call.
Because that's going to be the rest after I stop talking.
Yep.
After I stop giving news. I'll be talking plenty during the Apple stuff, but
I'm going to save my voice for a few minutes here.
Probably a good idea.
I'm going to need it.
Okay, so Google has found a new way to piss me off.
That was the best segue ever. Go on, I'm intrigued.
Yes. So, a few years ago, they came out with an email client called Inbox. And when it first came out, I tried it. I wasn't a huge fan, so I went back to the regular Gmail. And then about a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago, I decided I'll try it again, see how I like it. I really like it. So I've been using it. And they are going to be taking it away in March.
I heard about this, actually.
Freaking Google. I kind of get it because Inbox was kind of a testing ground for certain features, and then most of all the really good features that people really like have been thrown into Gmail. I just haven't been in Gmail to set them up. So am I going to have to go into Gmail and set all these features up that I like that were just there in Inbox, and then I can be okay with getting rid of Inbox.
Making you work for it, eh?
It sucks.
It sucks.
There is one feature in Gmail that is not in Inbox that I do like. Most people probably wouldn't care, but the mark as unread, like a button that says mark as unread, is not inside of Inbox for some reason.
Oh, really?
And sometimes I use that fairly often because if there's an email that I want to make sure I go back to,
oh yeah, you mark it.
I mark it as unread so I can notice it. One way that Inbox can help with that is you can snooze an email, and then it will alert you at a certain time that you set.
Oh,
so that's kind of nice, but I still prefer the mark as unread option.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice to have back, I guess.
Yeah. So new to the Android platform here.
Yes.
What are some of these features you're talking about? Maybe. I don't know.
Just like bundling emails into certain categories. Like, say, if you get emails from Facebook and Twitter, it'll go into not a folder, but just an area that's designated social. Or say you get emails for, like, if you're in rewards points systems in different companies, then those will go into a certain plot. Or you can even customize these things. So I know I've heard of one guy that set his up. Any email that's got an unsubscribe button in it goes into a separate area.
I like that, actually.
Yeah. So it, in a way, it cleans up your inbox a little bit. So
Gotcha.
It's not just, a bunch of random emails all in order. It's just they're kind of organized a little bit better. And like I said, those features have come to Gmail, like inside the app and on the web and stuff. So it's not a big deal that they're getting rid of it. It's just, it's the one that I've been using.
Yeah.
So, I'm kind of bugged.
Well, at least they're not, shutting down Android and force you to move to another platform.
That's true. That is true.
Throwing that one out there.
Yeah, that would be really stupid.
That would be... Yes, it
They'd
would.
be pissing off a whole lot of people by doing that.
Just saying. I don't know what company did that just recently.
Yeah.
But,
well, I wouldn't say recently, but,
Yes.
I guess recent within 5 years recent. But
Yes.
Anyways. Okay. Another thing Google did this past week, they now have an updated version of their USB-C to headphone adapter dongle. And it costs $12 now instead of $9, so it's $3 more. But they're saying this one has 53% lower latency than the previous one. So if you're watching, the only really place that matters is if you're watching video and listening through headphones. But that's kind of nice. It also has 38% longer playback time. So, like, obviously these adapters are going to be using some sort of power to, take the audio from the phone into the headphones.
Right.
So this takes 38% less power from your phone, which is nice.
That is nice. It's quite a bit.
Yeah. So I just thought I'd mention that in case anybody needed to go and buy an extra one. It's not the $9 one anymore. It's $12, but it is better.
There you go.
So there you go. Okay. Now, this is not Google related, but just some general tech. Qualcomm announced the new Wear 3100 smartwatch chip. We were kind of expecting this past week. The big focus here they're saying is on battery life instead of necessarily like performance. It's going to be trying to help the smartwatches last longer, which that's a good thing.
Yes.
Because, the primary function of a smartwatch should be a watch, I think, in most cases.
No.
You got to look at it and be able to tell the time. And generally you want a watch to last you a little while.
To tell you time.
So this is a good thing. The next thing is 2 phone announcements that are going to be coming up here pretty soon. On October 3rd, LG is going to be announcing the V40 ThinQ. That's pretty much exactly what I thought, Caleb.
just it's Think. Just call it Think.
Yeah.
Whoever came up with the idea, they thought Think in their head, and then they spelled it stupidly because they hadn't watched That Thing You Do in years or something like that. Just don't. Tech companies and naming stuff. I tell you what, I have a rant about that.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that.
It's scheduled.
Yeah.
But yeah, so and they've already announced that that's what they're going to be talking about. They have the name on the invite, the V40 ThinQ. So this should be entertaining, I guess. The V series phones have been really good phones in the past, so I'm expecting a pretty decent phone that's going to be focusing on video and audio, which is what they've done in the past again.
Yeah.
So it should be a pretty decent phone. The thing I'm most curious about is obviously going to be the price of the phone. because the specs are it's their high end. It's like the G series phones have always been kind of their flagship, kind of like Samsung's S series.
Yeah.
And then the V phones are more like Samsung's Note series. A little bit higher end, a little bit higher price, but it's a better phone. So I'm curious on that.
Yeah.
The next one, October 10th, Razer is going to be announcing the Razer Phone 2. At least that's what we're assuming. They didn't actually come out and say that like LG did, but...
Well, they did say that they're going to be making another one.
They did say they're making another phone. This announcement, everything listed on it leads you to believe this is for the phone. So,
yeah.
Considering the schedule on it, the last thing on there says something about mobility. Wonder what that is.
Gee.
I think it's probably actually going to be called the Razer Phone ThinQ. Just
Thin?
With an X somewhere?
Just to be clear.
Everything's got to have an X right now.
ThinQ with a silent X at the end.
Oh, shoot me now. Well,
yeah.
What a fad.
Thanks, Apple. Anyways,
I hope it ends.
Actually, didn't it start with Microsoft?
No, I'm gonna blame Apple for this because they have OS 10, which is actually OS X.
That's true. They did.
Yeah, it's technically just Mac OS, but they went a lot of years trying to get people to call it Mac OS 10, even though they were branding it with an X, and everyone was calling it Mac OS X. So honestly, if there's any company in the world who should know better, anyway, sorry, that's
coming. That's
sneak
a storm
preview
of
of
brewing
an
right
upcoming
there.
segment on the show.
Boy, someone's shaking a soda pop right now. Tell me when.
Well, when?
Yeah.
I'm done.
And I guess
let's move on to Caleb and his rants.
Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have Spend Love here with our Apple News.
Oh my gosh. I can't even, there was some maybe good stuff that happened at this event, but I can't remember any of it because I'm completely fixated on literally the worst technology product name in the history of technology product names. And here's the thing, Apple has had a lot of iconically named products.
Yes.
To be fair, a lot of them
Start with an
they're
I.
iconic now, but they kind of were not necessarily a great idea back in the day. And let's think back to the original iPad and the number of women who were all like, "Pad, really? That's what you went with." And you look back even further, you get stupid products like the Apple Pippin, which was badly named and also badly conceived and badly designed. And anyways,
Yes.
Apple has some pretty iconic product names, but they also have some incredibly stupid product names in their backlog. But I have absolutely zero qualms or hesitation about saying that Apple's new iPhones are the stupidest named phones or pieces of technology in the history of technology. Since the digital age began, we have not seen anything so ill-conceived as the branding for these phones. And like I was saying, if there's one company on the planet who should understand that if you put an X on the branding for your product, even if it's supposed to be the Roman numeral 10, everybody is still going to pronounce it X because we're idiots. We don't think about that in terms of numbers. You want me to say it 10? You write 10. That's how you do that. So when they released the iPhone X last year and they called it the iPhone 10 and then they branded it with an X, I was like, I'm doing the exact same thing as I did with Mac OS 10 for, a decade. I'm going to be calling it the iPhone X just like I called that Mac OS X. Everybody I know does that. The only people I know who call it the iPhone 10
are Apple employees.
They're like the super diehard technology gurus and stuff like that. Like Landon, yes, who I consider you a super diehard phone guru.
Now, okay. I have to say this though. So, when I talk about the iPhone 10, and I even read about the iPhone 10, I do say 10 and I think 10. Now, that being said, with the 10S and the 10R, which don't get me started on the R, that's another rant. If I'm talking about them, I think 10. When I see it, I cannot think anything but XS or XR. And I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Yep.
This is retarded. I mean, I thought it was retarded before.
Yeah.
But now it's just even because there's 2 letters. There's no number. Mm-hmm. You don't say number. You say letter. And it's really bad.
So, if our listeners hadn't figured out by now, the fears that I expressed a couple of weeks ago on the podcast about the rumors that the new iPhones were going to be called the iPhone XS, they are. That is exactly what they are called. The iPhone XS, that's what they want me to call it, but I am going to be calling it the iPhone XS. When I read it, I'm going to see the iPhone extra small. When I say it out loud, it is going to sound like I'm saying that the iPhones are excessive. That's just how it's going to come across.
The phones...
And even better, the bigger one is no longer called the Plus.
Oh, yeah.
Because branding, that's a thing we don't care about. But it's called the Max now. So the iPhone XS Max, which is just the worst name ever. And it's a really cool phone. That's probably the worst part about it, is it's actually a really cool phone, but it has literally the worst name I could possibly have conceived of for a phone.
Yeah, well, okay. So, I don't know how much... Okay, I recommended this earlier, that Caleb listened to a certain podcast from MacBreak Weekly. A certain section to be in particular, but I don't know if you listened to more of it, they had a little rant about the naming. And there was one of the guests on the show that she was kind of fighting against the whole X. Like, she was thinking it was fine because, OS 10. And I'm like, no, that's still wrong. But
it is wrong.
She did say that it was bad because if you look at how Apple has done their phones in the past, it's always been S, is the talk version of the phone, which that's what this is. And then you always think of the Plus as the bigger phone. Now we have the Max instead of the Plus, which is stupid. And also with the 5C, that was the colorful version of the phone. Now we have an R as the colorful version of the phone.
For no reason.
And they didn't even they didn't say what the R was for, what the S is for. They just did it because why not? And I am like, oh my goodness, Apple, you need to smack yourself in the face and just rebrand everything.
Seriously, it could not. I don't know. I will give them iPhone XC would have made more sense because we've seen the 5C before. There's a precedent for that. XR is just weird. Where does the R come from? What does the R mean? Came out of left field, but I don't feel nearly as stupid saying iPhone XR as I do saying iPhone XS.
True.
So,
True.
or writing it. Every time I type the phrase iPhone XS, I die a little bit inside. It's literally killing me, the name of this iPhone. So, yes, I could not. This is literally the worst case scenario for the name of this product. And listeners may think that I am overemphasizing the terribleness of the name of this product. But this thing is going to go down in history as the worst named phone ever. It's just, especially since neither of these phones are extra small. If they would have actually released an iPhone XS that was just tiny, then mad props to Apple for just pulling a fast one on the entire industry. That would be hilarious. But no, they didn't. They're big.
They could have
quite large phones.
They could have gotten away with calling the Apple Watch the iPhone XS.
Yes, that I could have gone for that. That would have been okay.
The LTE version is basically an extra small iPhone.
Yes.
Yeah. It just need to put an app store directly on it that you can access without having to connect to a phone, and there you go.
Yeah.
Just sounds like Apple's just against actual numbers.
What's stupid about that is that they haven't been. We had the 3G, which was not actually about numbers. That was about it was a 3G networked phone instead of 2G.
Yeah.
And then the 3GS, which was again just the S model of that one. But then after that, they're all like, okay, this is the fourth iPhone. It's the 4. And then 4S, 5, 5S, 6, 6S, 7, 8. We're okay with all of this. But then 10. But X, and here's the thing, because they've done it before, They did it with Mac OS. System 1, System 2, System, up through System 7, and then Mac OS 8, Mac OS 9, Mac OS X. Like, just flip. Apple, you know better than this. You tried for 10 years to get people to call it Mac OS 10, and when you couldn't do that, you rebranded the operating system to just Mac OS without a number after it, because you wanted people to stop calling it Mac OS X.
And they even said that in the keynote.
They did. It's just the dumbest thing. Like, they should know better.
They thought they had a second chance, Caleb.
Oh, they're retarded. They're stupid.
They blew it.
They blew it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know,
I
listened to a podcast last week before all this was announced, and I don't remember which one it was, but someone was saying that Apple's just going to rebrand their iPhone after different places in California, like they did Mac OS. It's going to be
preferable.
It's going to be the iPhone San Francisco or something.
I would almost rather have that.
I was going to say that sounds better.
It's just really.
I still
ridiculous.
think they just need to go the way of the
ridiculous.
iPad, and it's the iPhone.
Yes, I agree.
They have the
100%.
iPhone, the iPhone Pro, and the iPhone Mini, or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah,
It would just be easier.
Yep.
And then if they needed it, they could just have a date next to it.
Well, that's what they do with
Yeah.
all their MacBooks. Their iPads are like that now. The iMacs are like
Exactly,
that.
yeah.
All of them just have a month. Like for the MacBooks, it's all the month and the year that it was released,
Yeah.
yeah.
or
Well,
late
and that's
summer
the
or
thing.
something like that.
I have a 2017 10.5 inch iPad Pro.
Yeah.
That is the iPad that I have. My MacBook Pro is a 2011, late 2011, 13-inch MacBook Pro. That is what my laptop is. That works just fine. So being able to say I've got a 6.1-inch 2018 iPhone, cool. Like,
There you
I
go.
know what phone that is.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's anyways, Apple's naming is stupid. This is not the first time it has been stupid, but this is the stupidest it has ever been.
It's full of stupids.
I would like to actually move on and talk about the rest of the event a little bit beyond just the names.
Are
for these
you
things.
sure?
I
Got a little more in the gas tank there?
like I said, it's soul crushing. This is just. I have been angry with Apple before, but never anything quite like this. This is just ridiculous.
Okay, move on.
So, okay. I want to call out the opening video for the keynote. They always do a really good job with these. The one for WWDC back in June, where it was basically like a nature documentary about software developers, was one of the funniest things I have ever seen, and I loved it
I
so
think
much.
that was the best keynote intro I've ever seen from any company. That one was amazing.
That was so good. This one was not that good, but it was pretty good. It was a Mission Impossible chase scene, basically, which it was somebody delivering the clicker to the auditorium so that Tim Cook could start the keynote with the slide clicker to get through the presentation. That was basically all it was.
I did find her reaction to finding out that it was just the clicker pretty good.
That was appropriate.
She was like, the clicker? What?
The clicker?
That was it?
It's this woman basically runs all the way across the Loop campus to the Steve Jobs Theater, and it was fun. It was a well choreographed chase scene, and it was fun to watch. And shout out to that video. It was good. And just to clarify for anyone who, because I haven't actually said this, we're referring to the Apple event that happened on Wednesday the 12th.
Oh yeah,
that's what we're talking about right now.
It is available to watch on Apple's website.
Yes,
on
also
any
on
device.
their YouTube channel
Yes.
right now.
Yes.
And they announced a new Apple Watch and some new iPhones at this event. So now that I have gotten my rant about the name of the stupidest name ever out of the way, I'm going to actually talk a little bit about the phones themselves. So let's just go ahead and run through the specs of the new iPhone XS and iPhone XS Max really quick. So the big difference between these two iPhones is basically screen size. One of them is the 5.8-inch screen that the iPhone X was last year. The other one is a 6.5-inch screen on the Max. And that is that's a big screen. Like, that is bigger than the Galaxy Note 9 and bigger than every other mainstream smartphone that I am aware of.
Currently.
Currently. Somebody will bypass it, I'm sure, at some point.
Well,
but this is the first time.
The rumor on the Pixel, I believe, is 6.9.
What? That's a tablet. That's a 7-inch tablet.
And again,
okay.
it has a bucket of a notch, so half of that's notification.
That's true.
So, yeah, it's a big screen is the takeaway. It's a really giant thing. And this is the first time that Apple has been able to brag about their screen size of their phone in comparison to every other phone since the original iPhone.
Yep.
And everything else had a 1.5-inch screen, and Apple had a 3-inch screen. And they're all like, look at how huge this is, because everyone else has a keyboard below their screen. Anyways, so it's been a while since they've been able to do that. We'll see how long it lasts. Like a month, maybe. So both phones are IP68 instead of IP67 ingress protection. So that means that they are waterproof down to 2 meters for 30 minutes or something like that, which is pretty impressive for waterproofness on a phone.
Yeah.
The screens on both of them are their new Super Retina displays. They're both 120 hertz, which is great. They both have the tap to wake function. They're both OLEDs. They both have True Tone. They both have HDR. All that stuff. The screens are basically just really fancy OLED panels with very high color accuracy. And we don't know how accurate the colors are and how bright they are exactly in comparison to like the Note 9 and the Galaxy S9, which are their main competitors in the screen department, because they haven't shipped. But pre-orders actually opened up today, as of this recording, Friday the 14th, and those will start arriving next week. So we'll probably be getting more information on that before the next time you hear from me.
You getting one?
No.
Why not?
One of these. We'll get to that. We will get to that, my friend. So both of these phones have better sound. They claim a wider sound stage and more immersive stereo sound and faster Face ID, which, I mean, duh.
You'd hope so.
Kind of expecting that. That comes as courtesy of the A12 Bionic, which is the new chip in the thing, which is, as predicted, the first 7-nanometer processor to ship in a mass market consumer electronics device. So, good job, Apple. You beat literally everybody to the punch.
Yep.
It's a 6-core Fusion CPU, so that's the same as last year. It means it's got 2 high-performance cores and 4 high-efficiency cores. It's got a 4-core GPU, which is 1 core up from last year. I believe last year was a 3-core GPU, and 50% faster performance is what they're claiming on the GPU. And then it has, so the iPhone X introduced something called the Neural Engine in the system on a chip thing, which is basically just dedicated silicon that was designed specifically for doing neural network tasks and AI-related stuff on the phone. So last year's was a single-core neural engine. This year it's got 8 cores because woohoo.
And Siri still won't get better.
But she'll activate really fast.
That's true.
I mean, when she's there, she is there.
Oh my gosh, she's right there. She's there before you even say the catchphrase. She reads your mind, and then she pops up, and then she answers your question wrong. That's
basically how it happens now. Not gonna lie.
Love it.
So yeah, they basically have said that yes, this is the fastest system on a chip in any smartphone, and they're claiming that the neural engine is supposed to make obviously stuff related to the digital assistant, to Siri and her activation and her speed and responsiveness, and also the way that she's able to tie all of the stuff together between your apps. All of that is supposed to improve. The main place that they actually called a whole bunch of attention to it was in its ability to improve the camera and all of the features that it's going to do there. So let's talk about the camera a little bit. The camera on both of these is the same. 12 megapixel wide angle lens, 12 megapixel telephoto lens, larger sensors on both, optical image stabilization on both, 7 megapixel camera on the front for the selfie camera that is integrated with the Face ID, and obviously you have portrait mode on both of them. And then yes, so the ISP, the image signal processor, is linked with the neural engine, which allows them to do something that they're calling smart HDR, and the way they described it is actually pretty awesome. So basically what it's doing is it's constantly taking, like when you open up the camera app, it is taking photos. It's storing them just briefly and then discarding them like within a second. It stores a whole bunch and then discards them. And what it's doing there is it is doing multiple exposures of everything. It's like gathering different like focal lengths and stuff like that. Like it's just doing capturing a whole bunch of stuff all at the same time, so that when you hit the shutter button, there's zero lag because it's already taken the picture. It just grabs whatever picture it had at that exact instant and saves that one instead of discarding it. And then it takes all of the different versions of that photo that it's taken and then does the HDR thing where it smashes them all together and takes 10 different levels, and it's including like depth maps, and it's including different exposures and so on and so forth to get the best image possible. And some of the pictures that they were showing in the keynote, obviously taken by professional photographers under the best circumstances using this phone, were really impressive. It looked dang good. So pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
My favorite thing about the camera is the depth of field for the portrait mode photos is now adjustable.
That was amazing.
Which I'm like, heck yeah, that's fantastic. Because like I have a 7 Plus, which was the first phone that had the dual camera set up on the back and was the first one with portrait mode, and I love portrait mode. It's really good. I like it a lot, but sometimes the blur is just not quite what you'd actually get if you actually had a giant lens and actual optics on the back of the phone, like DSLRs have.
Yeah.
And, being able to adjust it is going to make a big deal with that. Just to be clear, the portrait photos with the adjustable depth of field is for both the front and back cameras because the Face ID setup makes it so that you can take portrait mode photos with the selfie camera. Let's see, video recording. You now have stereo sound, obviously, from the dual speakers on it, but it'll record stereo sound as well.
Yeah, it has 4 microphones. Is that what they said?
Yes,
2 on each
4
side.
Microphones, and they'll be using that to record stereo sound for your videos, which is actually pretty cool. So, if you have your kids running in circles around you while you're trying to film them or something like that, then you'll be able to hear them run around you if you put on a pair of headphones.
Oh, wow.
Woohoo. So yeah, that's the iPhone XS and the iPhone XS Max. They start at 64 gigs, which, whatever. The second tier up is 256 gigs, and then they are now available with 512 gigs of internal storage, which is more than my computer at work. So that's great. They start at $1,000. So the base model 64 gig iPhone XS is $1,000. The base model 64 gig iPhone XS Max is $1,100, which is, oh boy, yeah, that's a price, all right. And it's just really funny because for a few blessed minutes, Samsung actually had the most expensive smartphone in the world. The top of the line model 512 gigabyte Note 9 was like $1,300 plus. And now you can get a 512 gigabyte iPhone SX Max for almost $1,500. Because holy crap!
Oh wow!
I could buy it. I'd buy a new laptop for that. Just insane. So the last thing that I want to say about these phones is yes, dual SIM is a thing for both of them.
Yes.
I have seen a few places where this needs to be clarified. Dual SIM is a thing. They are doing that, they're managing that by putting a regular SIM card in the phone, but also including their eSIM technology that has been present in the cellular versions of the Apple Watch and the iPad for 2 years now, 1 or 2 years. So the eSIM, basically, that's like a secondary SIM that you can activate with a secondary carrier so that you have 2 carriers. And they've got it set up in the software so that it knows both numbers are present and will bring in calls and whatever from both numbers, and you can pick which one you want to have outgoing calls come from and stuff like that. So that is there. But if you actually want 2 SIM cards in your device, you have to get the Max. That one does support 2 physical SIM cards, but the regular sized one does not. So,
And
just to be clear.
I could have heard this wrong, but I want to say that one was only available also in China.
I am not sure that they actually specified that model specifically was only going to be available in China, but it is a different model number. So there's like two model numbers of the SS or of the Max. Well, okay, there's actually a bunch of different model numbers of the Max because like if you buy a Verizon iPhone, that is a different model number than a T-Mobile iPhone. But yeah, so it's entirely possible that yes, it is just a China model that's only going to be available in China or in just Asian markets, because it would actually make a lot of sense for that to exist in India as well, which is another popular place for dual SIM phones. So yeah, so that's the iPhone XS. Stupidest name ever. Actually pretty cool phones. But the highlight of this entire deal to me was actually the cheaper phone. And part of the reason it was the highlight was because it was cheaper. Because, you know, I'm not made of money and I am not paying $1,100 for a phone. That's just, holy crap. So let's talk a little bit about the iPhone XR, which, as Landon kind of alluded to earlier, is a little bit like the iPhone 5C, in that was the colorful version of the iPhone 5, but the internals were otherwise pretty much the same. The iPhone XR has almost the same internals as the iPhone XS. It has the same Face ID sensors. It has the same A12 system on a chip. It technically does have the same rear camera, but only one of them. So instead of having the telephoto lens as a secondary camera, it just has the main wide-angle lens. But it is the same wide-angle lens with the same sensors and the same optical image stabilization and so forth, and the same slightly ridiculous camera bump, which, holy cow, I'm going to be putting that thing in a case.
Yeah.
It has the same front, like the selfie camera is the same, obviously, because the Face ID is the same. And portrait mode is actually now available with a single lens camera on the iPhone XR, which kind of, you know, seems like a duh sort of situation because it's been available on the Pixel for 2 years now. And that thing only has a single lens on it.
When I was watching this, I saw that. I was like, they're taking some notes from Google. Good job, Apple.
Yep. It was a good call. And the camera stuff has the same smart HDR and the same variable depth control for the portrait mode and stuff like that. All of that stuff is the same. The differences are that it is only IP67 instead of IP68, which for anyone who's keeping track is 1 meter of submersion for 30 minutes instead of 2 meters. So, you know, which is what the iPhones have been for the past couple of years. So, you know, nothing terribly surprising there. And they don't have an OLED display.
Right.
They have what Apple is calling a liquid retina display because they're just gosh darn names and Apple and anyways. So it is an LCD display, much like, you know, iPhones before the iPhone X were, and much like iPhones before the iPhone X, it is the best LCD on the market. That's not really surprising. The iPhone 8 was the best LCD on the market, so it's not surprising that this one is.
Well, this is probably one of the only LCDs on the market.
Yeah, it's like the other top tier smartphone manufacturers have moved everything over to OLED.
Yeah.
But that being said, I really appreciate the fact that Apple is willing to release this phone at all, because the thing, like, it starts at $750. Like, the starting price for this device is at $750.
Yeah.
Is $100 less than the iPhone 7 Plus that I bought 2 years ago. And granted, that's only for 64 gigs, and my iPhone 7 Plus is 128 gigs. But
still,
my iPhone, like, getting the 128 gig version of this phone is not $100 premium over the 64 gig version. It's only $50. So you pay $800 for the 128 gig version of this phone. That is $50 less than I paid for my phone 2 years ago. So it's actually priced really quite well. A lot of that is down to the LCD in the thing. It's obviously not going to be as high a resolution as the OLED display. It's not going to be as bright or as visible outside. It's not going to have the deep contrast that you get, so it's technically not HDR. But it does support True Tone. It's still 120 Hertz, and it still supports the tap-to-wake functionality that is there on the iPhone XS and iPhone XS Max. So it's still a really good screen. It's just an LCD. You get the same form factor as the others with narrow bezels all the way around. They are slightly wider on the iPhone XR than they are on the iPhone XS, just a touch, but they're still managing to fit basically a 6.1-inch screen into a body that is a little bit smaller than the Plus versions of the phones prior to this. So, actually pretty impressive there. And this is my favorite part. It's available in white, black, blue, coral, yellow, and product red.
I would be immediately buying the red one.
Right?
Heck yes.
Because they also did it correct with the red and black face. Red back and black face.
Did.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yes.
It's beautiful.
That's cool.
It looks great. And somebody did point out to me, actually, that if I got the yellow one, it would match my car.
It would match
really
your
well.
car.
So I'm seriously tempted just to do that, just because it would match. But really, the blue and the red are the two that I have been looking at. Like,
yeah,
those look good.
Yeah, that blue one is awfully. It's like a sky blue color. It's really pretty.
Yeah, that's
yep.
Although, if you got the yellow, well, if you got any of these, you'd have to get a clear case so you can show off the color.
Oh, definitely. It would absolutely be a clear case, but it would have to be a case because they are still glass-backed phones and they still support wireless charging and all that stuff. Yeah. And I really don't want to have the back of my phone shatter and fall off because that is an expensive repair.
Yeah.
Like, and you can't do that one by yourself. That's one of the things, like, even iFixit, they try to take the backs off of these phones and they just ruin them.
Oh, jeez.
So, yeah, I'm actually like 9/10 of positive that if you shatter the back on one of these things and you send it into Apple for replacement, they replace the entire frame of the device. They will take the screen out of your phone, they'll take the logic board out of your phone and the battery out of your phone and just glue them into a new frame that has a not shattered back. I don't think they replace that glass back on these things.
Probably not.
So, yeah, definitely put that in a case, but get a clear one because they're pretty colors, and that's so. Yeah, I think the iPhone XR it's a really good phone, has most of the things that the more expensive phones has, and I'm sorry, but OLEDs just aren't worth $250 in a device for me, and that's basically what I'd have to pay an extra $250 in order to get an OLED display in my phone, and I don't think it's worth it. So I'm going to be getting the iPhone XR. I get the added bonus of, in addition to saving $250, of having a pretty color for my phone without having to put a case on it. Just get a clear case for it.
Yeah.
So that was the iPhones. Like I said, great phones. I'm actually quite pleased with these iterative improvements, and I'm pretty excited to see what the experience is like with that all body device instead of the ginormous freaking bezels that I have on my phone. And it's exciting. I just wish they had picked some better names.
Yeah.
True.
But I'll get over it eventually, maybe.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably
maybe
not.
Next year when they finally get rid of those names, hopefully.
That's when I'll get over it.
Although,
oh my gosh, if they don't.
Okay, here we go. Next year, I'm calling this now. They're gonna stick with like how they did Mac OS X, and they're gonna keep iPhone X, but they're gonna switch the other letter. So it's gonna be the XS or the XT or something, whatever's next.
XZ.
XZ.
No, XY.
XL. There you go. XL Max.
I'm sure it'll be the XL next.
The XL Max Pro.
Oh my gosh! It's just. The worst part is you say that as a joke, but like it's a possibility.
It's like, unfortunately a possibility.
It's so funny.
So terrible.
It's still funny.
Okay. Yeah.
We have to make fun of it in order to not be quite as angry.
It's true. If I don't mock it, I just weep. So.
Caleb's been at home crying for the past 2 days.
I have. It's been so rough. Like it's been such a hard time. It's a good thing Shadow of the Tomb Raider came out. Otherwise, I would not have recovered in time for the podcast.
Murdering people helps me in this simulator.
It really does. It really does.
That's hilarious.
It's like, hey, I just dragged this guy back into a bush and strangled him with a bow. I feel better about life. Okay, anyways.
And that's the nice thing that she does. The nicest way of killing
I know.
someone.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I haven't seen her ice pick anybody, like, pull their head off from the base of their skull with an ice pick yet, like she did all the time in Rise of the Tomb Raider. So, you know, maybe she's calmed down a little bit.
Maybe. We'll see.
Okay. So now the part of the keynote that actually this was the beginning of the keynote. They talked about the iPhones last, but I wanted to talk about them first so that I wouldn't be angry while I was talking about the Apple Watch. Because they did release a new Apple Watch, and it's actually pretty dope, and I still think it's overpriced, and I won't be buying one. But this is the most tempted I have ever been.
This is the most tempted
4,
I have ever been.
Yeah, and you actually like wearables.
I really like wearables, and I've come out and said on multiple episodes of our podcast saying how I very much prefer round watches and have not been a huge fan of the Apple Watch design. But this one, despite the design, I want.
Yeah.
And the design is better. We'll get to that, but yes, it is better.
Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah, let's get to that right now. So, Apple Watch Series 4. What is the first thing that you're going to notice about this device? The screen doesn't suck anymore.
Yay!
So, they have basically taken the existing form factor of the thing. The dimensions are tweaked ever so slightly. It's a little bit thinner than the Series 3 and so on and so forth. But the screen itself is larger. The corners have been rounded off, and it just fills the front of the device a whole lot more effectively than it did before.
Yeah.
It looks much better. Just to bear in mind, yes, the case dimensions are tweaked ever so slightly, but Apple said on stage during the keynote that all of the previous bands are compatible with this new device.
Yes.
So you don't have to buy all new bands. If you have bands from a previous Apple Watch, they will fit with this new one. They redesigned the UI and added a whole bunch of new complication functionality and watch faces to take advantage of the larger surface area of the device. The digital crown now has altered haptic feedback, which from the way they said that, I took it to mean, because there is some quote-unquote haptic feedback on the digital crown of the current versions of the watch, but it's like physical, it's mechanical feedback. There's like actual mechanical pieces in there, and from what I understand, those bits are actually prone to failure. So what I took that to mean is that the haptic feedback in the digital crown is now digital, handled via the Taptic engine on board the watch instead of via mechanical means, which should improve the longevity of the device. They've made a whole bunch of general hardware improvements, but then they added some pretty neat features, and this is the stuff that I think is really cool about this watch. So the first thing is fall detection. So basically, if you fall off of something, or just like you slip on ice or something like that, your Apple Watch can detect that you have fallen. And what it'll actually do is like pop up a little notice that says, "Hey, we noticed you fell. Would you like us to call somebody? Like, are you okay?" You know, and it gives you a little option there to call 911, or I think you can configure it to call different contacts and stuff like that if you want.
Yeah.
And you can set it up such that if you don't respond to that message, it'll automatically call somebody. Like if it detects that you're immobile after you fall and you don't respond to this thing, and it's all like they're not moving, then it's going to call 911 and send them your area, like, or probably get them on the phone. Also probably send them, since it's probably calling through your phone, and iPhones now support this, it'll send them your location as well. And it can be configured to automatically send messages to family members and stuff like that. So the idea being that, you know, young people probably don't care about this a whole lot, but, you know, grandma in her early 90s falls and breaks her hip. It might actually be really handy to have something like this automatically detecting her fall and then calling everybody and saying, "Hey, your grandma's going to die. You better do something about that."
I never thought I'd see my grandma wear an Apple Watch.
Yeah. You know, after all the Apple Watch stuff that they talked about, I went over to my wife. I'm like, they just announced the Apple Watch for old people.
They really did.
And they really did.
Really did.
Although there are definite benefits to everyone with this. And
It's true. It's true. So the next thing, speaking of the Apple Watch for old people, the next thing that they talked about was the heart rate sensor. So the heart rate sensor has been able to detect elevated heart rate and notify you if it determines that your heart rate is excessive. It'll just be like, "Hey, our sensors are detecting that your heart rate is a little off the charts. Do you want to do something about that, or maybe call a doctor or something? Just so you know, it's been doing that so far. They have now got it configured such that it can detect an abnormally low heart rate as well, and tell you same kind of thing. It'll notify you, hey, we've detected a problem with your heart, and that kind of thing, so that you can get in contact with the doctor if you need to. This actually goes along with their ability to detect or kind of help categorize potential AFib situations, arterial fibrillation, which is uneven beating of the heart and stuff like that. The watch kind of monitors for that just in your heart rate constantly, and will let you know if they think there's something possibly wrong. To be fair, the way that this kind of thing actually gets past the FDA is by not actually giving you medical advice.
Right.
The watch does not tell you what to do. It just says, you've got a sensor that's monitoring your heart rate on your wrist. That sensor thinks your heart rate is abnormally low. You might want to see a doctor. Like, it doesn't even tell you to see a doctor. It basically just tells you your heart rate's low, and then lets you do whatever you want with that information. But odds are probably pretty good. If your heart rate is low or excessively high and you're not exercising, then, you should maybe see a doctor. Even better, so going along with that, this thing can now, so it's been an optical heart rate sensor. That's what it's been from the beginning. They have added an electrical heart rate sensor to the thing, and you can now use the thing to do an ECG via your wrist.
Which is crazy.
For people that aren't familiar with that term, ECG stands for electrocardiogram. And basically what it is just a brief test to monitor the rhythm of your heart. And it's like accurately, to a certain degree of accuracy. And so an ECG, just like there's different levels of them. This is like the highest level, just basic ECG. But it will monitor and gather data related to your heart rate. And how it works is actually, so you have the thing on your wrist, you put your finger from your other hand on the digital crown and trigger the thing, and then it starts sending a current through your wrist, through your heart, down your other arm, and back through your finger, and then uses the circuit that is created by that contact in order to actually perform the ECG. And it monitors the thing, gathers data, and then sends it to the health app on your phone, from which you can generate a PDF and send it to your doctor. So if you have AFib and you need heart monitoring, this is actually a pretty viable solution in that instance. And once again, it gets past the FDA because they're not actually giving you medical advice. This is basically just data points that a doctor can use to give you advice. But it's probably, I haven't actually done any research, but this is just a guess, this is a heck of a lot cheaper than any pure medical devices that are this size that do the same functionality, and probably is going to open up that capability to a lot more people who have heart disease or are at risk for heart disease, and could really use just as many data points as possible when it comes to monitoring their health and keeping their doctor informed.
Yeah.
So,
and they did mention on stage that this is the first over-the-counter, direct-to-consumer ECG type product that's been made. So that is pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
And the thing that I think is really cool, I can't remember if they mentioned this on stage or if I read or heard it somewhere else, but like being able to, document this information and keep it within the health app on the phone, most of the time when you go to a doctor, you're not experiencing any of these symptoms while there. So being able to say, this is how I was feeling at this time, and this is the data my Apple Watch or I have. What does this mean? You can show this to your doctor. And, instead of just trying to describe it and hope that he knows what you're talking about, you can be like, this is what I have. This is the data that is given to me. Here you go. What do I need to do?
Yeah.
And that is pretty awesome, too.
No, it is.
Yeah. Yep. It's sweet. And just, yeah. So, one other point they were very careful to point out, battery life stays the same. I know that people care about that.
Yeah.
But it is the same. Series 4 battery life is the same as Series 3. The prices for this thing, it's going to start at $400 with GPS and will be available for $500 with cellular. And they are still going to be selling the Series 3 Apple Watch. The price on that has been reduced to $280, which is significant reduction in price. Pre-orders for the thing opened up today, again, the 14th. It'll be available in stores on the 21st, just like the iPhones. And really, it's, I don't know. For me, for my use case, for my needs, $400 for this thing is still pricey. Even with the bigger display, the improved complications and watch faces, and the really, frankly, quite awesome health benefits, like health monitoring features that this device has. All very impressive stuff. Still a little too expensive, but next year, when the Series 4 is reduced to $280, I might just buy it at that point, because
that's pretty dope.
That's worth it. And it's a cool device, for sure.
Yes, it is.
Just not for me, but
right.
It is for a lot of people. And especially, like, I don't know, Fitbit has a lot of really cool things. Like, they got a lot of cool wearables and stuff, but in terms of just the complete package for a health device that monitors not only your workouts, but also just your general heart health and stuff like that, and that is able to kind of gamify the workout situation and improvements to your health and stuff like that. I think the Apple Watch is the best on the market. And if you've got an iPhone and you are a health nut, or you need some of the health monitoring stuff that you can get from devices like this, get it. It's worth your money.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
It's just not worth mine.
Right.
No,
now, that
cool.
all being said, I want to go on a little bit of, not a rant, but I just want to complain.
It's worth Landon's money, but he doesn't have an iPhone. So.
And I'm not buying an iPhone just to have the watch. I don't even, well, okay. I wouldn't want to spend $400 on it either. But, Apple, when they first started with the watch, they branded it very heavily as a fashion device, which was obviously the wrong route to go. And this is why they've very quickly switched over to it being a health and fitness type device, which is very smart.
Another thing to note, the Apple Watch Edition no longer exists as of the Series 4. They are not selling it.
That's also smart.
Yeah, because once again, fashion was not the right way to sell this stuff.
No, definitely not. But, with how heavily they're pushing this for like health reasons and all these new features that are there, and how beneficial this would be to anybody that owns it, I'm not surprised that they don't have that this isn't an option, but I really want them to open this up to more than just iPhones. And I mean, I don't, obviously this isn't happening this year, and I don't think it'll happen next year. I could see it happening sometime because of these reasons, like because of the health reasons and the benefits that can come to anybody that has this. I wish that it would happen sooner. Not necessarily for me. I mean, yeah, I have selfish reasons I want one. Like, this is the first one I've actually been somewhat tempted to buy because of all these different health things. But just for anybody that can't necessarily or doesn't want to spend $1,000 on a phone, if they have a cheap, $300, $250, dollar Android phone that has, you can have Apple Health app on your Android phone that can talk to this watch or whatever. You may not want to spend $400 on a watch, but when you think of the health benefits that could come with it, it's kind of worth it in some senses, to some people. So having that available to everyone would be extremely beneficial. And like, there's some people, and I kind of agree with them on this sense, that Apple is using this to get people to switch to an iPhone. And it probably works for some people, Some people probably see this and be like, okay, I need this. I'm going to switch to an iPhone so I can have these benefits. And there's, obviously not bad things switching to an iPhone. It's obviously a really good phone, but you're spending more money on that. And I get Apple's play in that. They want to bring everyone in the ecosystem. It's obviously going to be a little bit better of experience if you're in the ecosystem. But, they've done it with they've done this with other products. They did it with the iPod. First, it was a Mac only iTunes, thing, and then they eventually brought iTunes to Windows, and you could use your iPod on a Windows PC. They did it with the iPad. First, you couldn't really do a whole lot with it without iTunes in particular, but then they made it so it's a standalone device. It can be used with whatever you have. That's why I could see it happening with the Apple Watch, especially where they have an LTE version that doesn't have to be connected to a phone all the time. But I wish they would do it sooner, just for the reasons, just for the health benefits that could come to everyone with that. So I don't think they would lose money because people aren't switching to an iPhone to get an Apple Watch. I think they would be making more money on the Apple Watch because people would be buying it even though they have an Android.
I think that probably the biggest thing here is that there's the business case aspect of things, and it's important to keep in mind that
for sure.
Despite Apple pushing the health benefits of this thing and how the improvement of life kind of thing, Apple's main argument is that your life is improved if you're using all of our products.
It's true.
And
it's true.
That's kind of their whole thing. Is it's not just the Apple Watch is an improvement to your life, but the iPhone would be too. So you should pick one of those up. And that's the argument they're always going to make.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
they're a hardware company.
Yes.
They want to sell you more devices. That's literally their business model. And so, so there's the business side of things from that perspective. If they made it available for Android users as well, which they probably could do, though I do think that the suggestion that somebody with a $250 or $300 smartphone would be able to use them probably wouldn't come through, because in order to maintain a specific quality of user experience, Apple would probably limit the phones that could use it to just high-end flagships from companies like Samsung and Google and LG and so forth.
Potentially.
It would be the kind of thing where they'd have to say, you have to have Bluetooth 5 in order to use this device, or something like that.
But Bluetooth 5 is coming to, $400 phones.
It is. It's coming. But I think that the probably the main thing is about controlling the experience.
Right.
Apple is all about controlling the experience, and that's one of the main reasons that they really don't do software for other platforms outside of Apple Music and iTunes.
Right. That's
kind of it. They don't like working on other people's platforms, and they avoid it wherever possible. And so I think what is most likely to happen is we'll see the same thing happen as what happened with the iPhone, where it started out, you pretty much had to tether the thing to iTunes on a computer in order to use it. And yes, iTunes was available on Windows, so it didn't matter if you were a Mac user or a Windows user, you could use an iPhone. But over time, as the platform developed and as the device developed, they were able to mature it to the point where now, if you are plugging your iPhone into iTunes, literally the only reason is just to back up stuff. You're just making a backup of the things so that you can switch to a new device or something like that. That's the only reason that you plug it into iTunes. Everything is wireless, done on the device itself. I think that is likely for the Apple Watch at some point in the future. Especially, the thing has GPS, the thing has cellular connectivity. It already connects directly to Wi-Fi networks inside of houses as long as your phone is nearby. It doesn't connect to the Wi-Fi through your phone. It connects directly to the Wi-Fi in order to get internet signals and stuff like that. So it does that already, and they just need to mature the software platform to the point where they can truly just de-tether the thing from the phone altogether. I don't think there will ever be a point where we go through the whole, you can sync it with an Apple app on an Android phone. I think we will go straight from it's an iPhone exclusive device to it doesn't require anything. It's a standalone device. I think that's the progression we'll probably see for it. And I suspect that's probably 3 or 4 years out, maybe 5. But I do think it'll happen eventually as the device matures. We've seen it before.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Ditto.
It's unfortunate, but it's probably the way it's going to be.
Gotcha. Anything?
Okay. There is one last thing from the Apple event. iOS, tvOS, and watchOS, as well as the software for the HomePod, all the new versions of that stuff that were announced at WWDC in June will be releasing on the 17th of September. So, very beginning of next week, software updates for everything except your Macs, because Mojave will be coming on September 24th instead of the 17th. A little bit longer wait for that one. But that was it for Apple's Gather Round event.
Yep. And you know, this was also brought up in Mac Break Weekly, and I totally agreed with them. I thought this as I was watching, or as I was listening, actually, to the keynote, is it was way too long. Especially for only two devices. They repeated themselves quite often on different things that they talk, like specs and different things about the phones or the watch. You know, there's like basically talking about the camera 3 times in certain, you know, just little things like that. It's like one of those things. It's like these keynotes in the past have been 2 hours long, but they needed to be 2 hours long because they also talked about the iPad or the Apple Home or HomePod, whatever the heck it's called, the HomePod. Again, naming all these different things. And so they see that and like, oh, we need to have it, you know, at least an hour and a half to 2 hours long keynote for this event. No, you don't. It's fine if it's only an hour, if it's jam-packed with really good information. You don't need to have an hour's worth of information spread out to an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's just too much. To
be fair, this is not the first time this has happened.
Oh no, it definitely isn't.
And it's actually like, this is kind of one of the things with Apple keynotes. Apple has had some really stellar keynotes over the past, 15, well, okay, let's just go ahead and say 20 years since Steve Jobs returned to the company.
Yeah.
And even the ones from before, like back in the 80s that he helmed. Apple has had some amazing keynotes that were jam-packed full of like serious innovation and massive product launches and like just like mind-blowing stuff. And those are the rarity. Like those are, anybody who has really been listening to every Apple keynote for the past 15 years or whatever, like, those are rare.
Yeah.
They don't happen frequently.
Yeah.
Most of the time the keynotes feel just a little stretched, and the ones that didn't feel stretched had like a 30-minute U2 concert at the end of them instead of an actual keynote, So like Apple has been doing this for years and years and years, and this was definitely one of those ones that they could have fitted into an hour if they wanted to. It ran about an hour and 45 minutes, and at about the hour and 20-minute mark, I was sitting there thinking, they really don't have that much else to say. Like, you can tell that they're kind of just padding it with fluff at this point. And if at that point they would have said, oh, and one more thing, and then released a new product, then awesome.
Yeah.
You have used up the remaining 45 minutes of your keynote and everyone is happy. But they didn't.
Right.
So, whatever.
Yeah.
But I'm not surprised. I kind of have come to just expect that going into an Apple keynote, that it's going to get to the end and I'm going to be like, that was it? Because that's frequently how it goes.
Yeah.
But
this one in particular, though, at least to me, seemed just really slow for some reason. Because there are those that are kind of dragged on, but they're not. This one, I was just like, okay, you could stop talking now, and now, and now, and now, and you're still talking? Yeah. Okay. But, it is what it is. So, I don't know if you were going to bring this up. I want to talk about the stuff that wasn't talked about, surprisingly. Like, there were rumors about MacBook stuff and iPad stuff. I'm not surprised.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not surprised that stuff wasn't talked about. The thing I am surprised by is not even mentioned was the AirPower charging pad that they talked about a year ago, only in passing last year, and then haven't really said anything about since then.
My favorite thing about the AirPower charging mat is that one of the slides for the new iPhones actually said improved wireless charging, but they didn't say anything about that because they didn't want to draw attention to the fact that their wireless charging mat still hasn't shipped.
Yep.
Like,
Well, that's
holy
what
crap,
that's
Apple.
what I think is also one of the more crazy things is they have all their phones now are wireless charging phones, and they don't sell a wireless charger.
I know, it's weird. It's super weird.
And yeah, they didn't even talk about wireless charging during this keynote. And I agree. It's probably because they didn't want to mention the fact that the AirPower hasn't been talked about in a year. So,
Oh yeah,
and like
that was definitely it.
and like everything we've heard about the AirPower, I want one. I'm not an Apple I don't have an iPhone, but I want one because my watch currently uses Qi charging. My next phone is going to have Qi charging. I could put both of those on the same charging pad, and that would be amazing.
And you'd still have space left over for another one.
And I'd still have space for something else. Yeah.
Yep.
And also one thing that would have gone along with that they didn't talk about was a wireless charging AirPods case.
Yes, the AirPods case.
And
they promised, but we haven't seen anything.
And or new AirPods. And that may be because they're still working on potentially some new stuff in the AirPods to go along with that, and they're just going to wait till October or something for an event for that. But still, not anything mentioned about that either.
Yeah.
Nope. Nothing at all. And it's kind of crazy because, it's like all the rumors of stuff like new iPads. There were some people that were all like, new iPads at the iPhone event. And I was like, no, it's been a while since they've done that.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't really...
I fully expect... new iPads, new MacBooks, and new, hopefully, Mac Mini, and possibly an update to the iMacs. I fully expect all of that in an October hardware event sometime, around the middle of October. But, yeah, the AirPods, like, nothing at all.
Yeah.
And they even talked about the HomePod. They talked about the HomePod software update that's going to be coming on the 17th. And didn't say anything about the AirPods, didn't say anything about the AirPower, and specifically avoided talking about wireless charging as a result. And it's weird.
It's very
weird. It's weird. I wonder if, like, at some point in time, I fully expect the AirPads or the AirPower thing to just disappear from their website entirely, and they'll just pretend that they never even talked about it.
Probably.
Just poof, gone.
They'll just release a single Qi wireless charging pad, like just one charge it, like one device at a time can charge on it, and it'll be like they won't even have a press release. It'll just randomly show up one day in the store.
Yep.
For $500.
All right. Well, Caleb, is that everything?
That is everything.
No more ranting?
Believe it or not. No, I did manage to get that all out of my system.
Good.
For now.
Good.
For now.
Until he has the device and he sees a giant XR on the front of the box and he gets angry again.
What, I am having a real hard time getting upset with the XR just because the XS exists. Like, if the XS weren't there, then the XR would be bugging the snot out of me. But in comparison, oh my gosh, is that the lesser of two evils?
Awesome. Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed our Apple event review. And if you have any questions or concerns or comments or anything, go ahead and get onto our website at callingallplatforms.com and leave us a note there. Or if you want to check out some brand new videos coming soon from Spenlove over here, you can take a look at his review of Shadow of the Tomb Raider coming up in a week, you said?
Well, I'm not going to commit to a week because I'm not going to do the full review until I have definitely finished the storyline of the game, which might take less than a week. We'll see. But there will be plenty of videos coming out about Shadow of the Tomb Raider before the review. So keep your eyes peeled.
Awesome.
They're on their way.
And you can see that at our YouTube channel, Calling All Platforms. So, all right, we're going to get out of here and have a good one.
Bye-bye.
See ya.